Hi, this is the Professional Amateur Hour coming to you with another review. This week, Leo sent me NARCO Sub, and this 2021 film was directed by Sean Welling and stars Tom Sizemore, Tom Vera, Robert Lizardo, among others, of course. The story of this movie is that the Colombian cartel has a submarine that they are going to use to, bypass Mexico and go directly to America. However, they kidnap this DEA guy's wife and child, and they tell him, you drive the sub for us, in I guess a twist of fate type of thing. So what will happen exactly? You'll have to watch the movie and find out. Alright, so let's discuss what works with this movie. Well, I gotta say the acting really stood out as being superb in this one. It has Tom Sizemore in it, and he's been in a lot of asylum films recently, and his work is sometimes lackluster, sometimes not. And this one, he brings his A game in this one. He's mostly sitting down and just being this DEA head. But he does some running around and stuff. And he even says he's the best.
Hold on for a moment.
What?
Is it really that bad?
Yeah, well, how's that bad? What'd you think? Hey, look, man, when I'm second best guy in the exercise, we have problems,
So Tom Sizemore brings his A game, as well as everyone else. You can tell they have great chemistry on set. Everyone is really doing a phenomenal job, playing their parts perfectly. Definitely believed all of the characters for who they were, and so that was definitely superb. In addition, I did enjoy the story, though it is very silly, I know. Why would they get a DEA guy to pilot their narco sub? That just seems like a terrible idea across the board. It does give them some bravado for the bad guys, but it's really just, the plot is silly, of course, unrealistic, but it's just used to get to point A to point B, and point B is action. So they have a bunch of action in this one, which is pretty good. I liked all of the gun battles. They seemed kind of well thought out and well planned. So, good action plus silly story equals this fun little action film. And lastly, I liked all of their locations, filming in a forest, filming on this submarine set, that's pretty cool, filming in mansions as well. So it's, not people just talking in rooms, so that's definitely a plus for me whenever I see one of these movies. And that brings me to what doesn't work with this film. Well, I already mentioned how unrealistic and silly the plot is, so try to turn your brain off and don't think about that too much. But there are other problems with the plot as well, and particularly plot continuity. And some plot points are just totally forgotten and thrown out. So for example, Tom Sizemore is having this interview at the beginning and he's saying some pretty cool stuff, but then you never see the interview again. It kind of works as a framing device to lead into the story, but it's totally forgotten and thrown out by the end. What else? Oh, there's also this character. He just kind of seems to disappear from the submarine. They tell him hey man, that's where the main character sits. You gotta get out of that seat. And so he does, but then he just kind of leaves the submarine even though they're underwater, or at least he disappears from the submarine. So he's never seen again. And then there's some editing things that are also could have been done better to make a more kind of clear progression of what was going on. It's usually when it's just him dealing with his family or whatnot, but definitely some editing things make it a little bit harder to understand as well. But, it's just a silly story, so as long as you don't care too much about plot, yeah, you'll like this one. So who would I recommend this movie for? Well, I gotta say, if you're into action and B movies, you can definitely turn this one on and have a good time with it. As for a rating, I'm going to give this one a 5. And having said that, I think that's all I wanted to say. So like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.